Good afternoon. Welcome to Sunday Arts. I'm Patrick Murphy. John Hulsey is a plein air painter who has spent much of his career traveling around the country capturing the essence of landscapes in oils, pastels, and watercolors. We recently caught up with him on the bluffs of the Mississippi River, where he talked to us about his art.
Fall color, a little mist in the morning, just creates all these wonderful layerings of space. So the challenge is, can I convey that sense of deep space in a two-dimensional form? And that's the object of the exercise, and I don't always attain that object, but that's what I'm trying for. This seems to have all the things that I look for, in that it has a foreground, a middle ground, and a background clearly defined. Plus it's a nice spot on the river. What I learned years ago was, if you want to guide people through a painting and you have to show them the way, you need to create some sort of a road up into your painting, whether it's an actual road or a path or just the way light works. You need to control that as an artist to let people know what you're interested in. Otherwise it's very difficult for them to participate in your painting. Paint is so limited in its ability to emulate all the luminance that's out here. Never mind the colors. You and I we can probably see 1,000 or more steps in luminance out here. So part of the painter's job, and this is the learning to see and translate, is to figure out how to condense what you're seeing into the ability of the materials to represent it. And hopefully that illusion looks real, but it really isn't. From a very early age, I was always moved by light. Even depressed by a cloudy day. Didn't know why as a child, how these things connected. But as I grew up and began to work on my art and think about light, I realized I have this sort of emotional connection to light. And so that part is somewhat automatic. I either feel it and I'll do a painting of it, or I don't feel it and I'll go look for something else that strikes me. Light is changing all the time. And even if we had a cloudless day where the light was fairly steady, you have about an hour before the sun has moved so much and the shadows have moved so much that you've got essentially a different scene. For that reason, any plein air painting that you might see is a combination of lighting effects that happen over time. Unlike a photograph, which is a snapshot of an instant, any painting you see has been adjusted and actually does not really exist in time, because it's the light as it moved through an hour or maybe even 2 hours. So that's one of the skills you have to learn, and what makes it so darn hard to do it. Everywhere I go, I'm drawn to rivers because they're special places. And one of the great things about the river, and certainly the Missouri and Mississippi right here, is that it's a movable feast. You'll see barges, you'll see wildlife, you'll see clouds moving over. There's always something going on that gives you a new subject to paint. And that's thrilling for any painter. If you're drawn to a subject as a painter and you feel something and you're sincere about it as you work, that feeling will definitely come through. You know, we're emotional creatures, and I think the best paintings have that emotion in them. You find that certain things hold true year after year. And one of those is that the more you paint, the more you begin to see the world in terms of paint. I don't see a tree, I see a lot of brush strokes of certain colors. And that's the way I see the world. If I'm driving down the road, I may not see a bank of trees and a bunch of water. I'll see those colors mixed in paint and those values. And once you begin to see the world in terms of paint, or like a painting, then most of your work is done for you. It's just really a matter of applying the paint after that. But it takes years to get to that point where you're even dreaming about the world in paint. I do hope that people enjoy my paintings and want to be where I was standing and feel like that's a beautiful place, a magnificent place to be on the surface. Beyond that, if they appreciate my ability to put on paint from the artistic standpoint, that's icing on the cake for me. I would say that my primary motivation has a spiritual component to it, a big spiritual component to it. I really feel like, nature's my subject, and nature's also my church in a sense. I mean, painting's my religion. I put everything into it. I feel that I'm part of this nature that I'm looking at, and so what I can do to participate in that is to paint. I may not be able to do many other things to save the world, but I can certainly paint, and if I can inspire people from those paintings, then my job has been done.